Next guest on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline is Marc Jackson, the pre- and post-game Sixers analyst for NBC Sports Philadelphia. He's a winner. He gets to talk to us each week. We feel that's a win for us. Marc, how are you, buddy?
It's a win for both of us. How are you?
A win-win. Now, last night, it was, what was it, barbershop night last night? It was the promotional schedule because I saw your tweet and I just started laughing. I saw it first on Endgame, and then I said, well, that's the first thing I have to ask Marc Jackson about, the guy that had Joel Embiid put in the back of his head.
That was, man. And first of all, what skill it takes to make that picture look so perfect in that young man's hand. Here, that was great barbering right there, or stylist. I don't know what you want to call them, but that was pretty cool.
Amy Fadul came up with the new name Barbarist last night.
Exactly.
She combined artist and barber. Follow Marc at Jacko2544, Jacko 2544 to see that picture. I'll retweet it as well right here so our folks can see it. Gee, Marc, I was thinking to myself last night if I was going to get your head, because I got the bald spot on the top, so that would match up. I could use the bald spot of my baldness on the top and then get your image put on the back of my. I don't know if there's enough canvas, if you know what I'm saying.
I got you plenty. I've been bald since I was 24, so we in the same boat, buddy. I've been completely bald since I was 24.
It is beautiful. I'm clinging on to my Mr. Weatherby hairs, but I digress. So let's get into this Sixers team last night that, quite frankly, Marc, did what they were supposed to do, which is win the winnable games. So they had a winnable game last night, and it really turned in the third quarter. I mean, the three-point ball, Josh and I got into it a little bit in the first hour of the show, live by the three, die by the three, but, boy, they certainly lived by it last night as they had 7 3-pointers in the third quarter alone and 18 in the game total. They were firing on all cylinders from beyond the arc.
Yeah, they was. You know, it was just amazing to see that shot fall. And when you have that many shooters in J.J. Redick, Robert Covington, Bellinelli, Ilyasova, Dario Saric, you know, you got so many shooters that can truly light it up from out there. It just spaces the floor. And when it's falling, it's great. But when you're missing it and you keep shooting it, it can make the game look real ugly.
Now, defense, they held the Hornets to under 100 points. That seems to be a theme, too. And I know defense wins championships is what they generally say in the NBA. The team that actually steps up and plays a little bit of D tends to have a lot more success than the one just trying to play on one half of the floor. What did you think of the Sixers' defensive effort last night?
I thought it was outstanding. I thought the defensive hustle, the effort by everybody was wonderful. Kemba Walker finished with 24 points, but he shot 8 for 19. If your coach will live with that all day. So I really thought it was good that they played defense. And if they can keep that defensive prowess up going into the end of the season, going into the playoffs, they keep that momentum, that defense gets their stride, and they can maybe steal a couple, the first couple, even if it's not at their own gym. I really think teams are expected to outshoot each other, but if you can bring defense into the playoffs, man, you can steal some.
And we'll get into the seedings and where they are in a little bit here. But first, I want to talk about a few of the individual efforts last night, starting with Ben Simmons, who probably locked up the Rookie of the Year last night, his 9th triple-double of the season, 11 points, 15 assists, 12 rebounds. And the big one for me, 0 turnovers. That's his 3rd triple-double in 4 games. Are we seeing Ben Simmons at his peak right now?
We're seeing Ben Simmons play remarkable basketball. You know, he's so poised. He is incredibly so poised to be a rookie. You know, we often talk about him, you know, and his savvy with the media, his ability to show how mature he is. You can't get him with a quick hitter or in the comments. He's so savvy-wise. But on the basketball court, he just fills the stat sheet. You know, he gets you rebounds, he assists, but he's scoring in there. He's getting to the paint, getting to the rim. But to be the primary ball handler for an NBA team and to be a rookie and have no turnovers. It's not like, okay, TJ handles the ball 30 minutes, JJ handles it 10 minutes, then Ben only handles it 8. He is the primary ball handler for at least 35 minutes of each game. So for him to have 0 turnovers, that's just once again kudos to his savviness and his ability to play more mature than his age.
And before we get into Joel Embiid, I do want to talk about just the team in general. I mean, 15 of those 30 assists from the team come from Ben Simmons, but 30 assists on 42 baskets. The Sixers flat out share the basketball. They've 17th time they've had at least 30 assists. 21 times now in a row they've had 20 plus. I mean, that's a team that shares the basketball.
Yeah, they do a great job, and that's been a theme for them the whole season. Sometimes they do, when you see some of their high turnover numbers, because they're trying to be too unselfish, where they make an extra pass when they have a shot, and then the team kind of gets a handle, get a deflection on it, and it causes to increase their number of turnovers. But they do that a lot of times, trying to make an extra pass. There's not a lot of ISO ball going on with them. You know, when Joel is in his sweet spot on that box or at the top of the key, sometimes he gets to put some wiggle game in there, but he still makes an effort to pass when it's necessary. So this team is so unselfish. They play defense. That's just incredible.
How about you? Let's get into Joel. 25 points, 19 rebounds. That 19 rebounds ties a career high. He was 10 for 17 from the field. He had 2 assists, 4 blocks. Now, the only dark mark, if you will, or red ink on his report card would be the 9 turnovers. But Joel Embiid, and that stat about Charles Barkley's name came up. He's also the first Sixer to have 25 points and 19 rebounds since Chris Webber back in 2005. I mean, when you're going into the record books to go 12, 13, 14 years back to find a number that he equaled, that's pretty special and monster night for Joel Embiid.
Yeah, it is. You know, Joel is really giving an effort to really solidify rebounds, like really fight for them rebounds. And that's just showing another sense of maturity, development, to really hit those rebounds. And then something else you need to keep in mind, that's also showing him getting his stamina back, getting his feet for under him. And that's very important because, remember, he did go through a little streak where he was tired. Now he's starting to get that bounce back. He's starting to get it rolling. And another indication that is rebounding, because rebounding is not about size, no matter what you want to say. If anyone want to say that, look at shorter rebounders like Dennis Rodman, even Sean Marion when he's with the Phoenix Suns. You know, so it's not about size, it's about all heart. So for him to put that much effort to get 19 rebounds on back-to-back occasions, just let you know he's starting to get his rhythm, starting to get in great conditioning.
19 for him, 12 for Simmons off the bench, 7 for Amir Johnson, even 5 rebounds for Ersan Ilyasova, and then Mr. Energy himself coming off the bench. Justin Anderson had 4 rebounds. Those Sixers rebounds, 60 rebounds. That's a huge number. That's the 3rd time they've reached that total. I mean, rebounding the basketball also a way that you can have success.
Yes, sir, because if you miss the shots, let's say offensive rebound, they also had 17 offensive rebounds compared to the Hornets' 7 offensive rebounds. So they're crashing both ends of the floor. They're gang rebounding, they're team rebounding, led by Joel Embiid. But then when you're playing against the other team, when they got somebody with a statue of like Dwight Howard, played 27 minutes, only finished the game with 4 defensive rebounds and no offense repeat. No offense rebounds for Dwight Howard, who's probably a prowess, and he's so prolific with rebounding the ball on the offensive end. That's let you know you're doing little things. You're doing little things that help your team win the game. J.J. Redick with 5 rebounds. You know, just everyone is just chipping in, do little things, with showing maturity.
Hey, Mark, focusing on Embiid a little more, you know, the turnover issue last night was a little bit, you know, more than usual, considering that the rest of the team kept their turnovers down, especially Simmons, who had all those assists and no turnovers. What's the key to helping Embiid not turn over the ball more?
You know, I think is once again, I think Joel is really, teams are really honing in on him, and he's hard to defend because he's just not an inside back to the basket kind of guy. He faces up. He can try to take you off the dribble. But what I think is when teams bring different double teams, they come on the dribble. They come on the pass. Sometimes they come off the cutter. It's different ways to confuse a person when you double them. And that can lead to some turnovers because you're trying to read the game. And it's very difficult when teams are hitting you with different looks on defense. But the positive is he is trying to make passes out of the double team. He's not considered a black hole like some players in previous years were when they received the ball, even with 2 people on them. So you'll live with those 9 turnovers as long as it's not consistently 9 turnovers or such a high volume. You can live with it sometimes. You know he's getting turnovers, trying to find his open teammates.
One of the things that's important to me, Mark, is the fact that it's the supporting cast around Embiid and Simmons. And you saw last night, Simmons just had this great sense of who was hot and who was not last night. And one of the things that stands out to me is that you saw Bellinelli put up all those points. The Sixers, great three-point shooting night, but that was with guys like Redick and Ilyasova and Justin Anderson not having their best shooting nights. Even Saric had a down night. So how important is it to have the depth the Sixers have now coming off the bench as support guys around their stars?
You know, it's so important because, listen, it's going to be games when the playoffs come around when Joel's going to shoot 5 for 20 or 6 for 23 because teams are doing such a great job double teaming him and hitting him with different looks where he's unable to get rolling offensively. There's going to be times where J.J. Redick is not going to have enough three-point attempts because it is going to really key on him, or he's going to shoot 1 for 10 because it can't on him. It's so important for people like Bellinelli, Ilyasova, Dario Saric, who didn't have his best game, only finished the game with 5 points and 1 rebound, 27 minutes, shooting 2 for 9. We both know, and everyone knows, that's not likely that you're going to be able to keep Dario down. So when you have other players who's stepping up in Ilyasova and you know, you got Bellinelli like we mentioned, but you also get people like Justin Anderson, who's a defensive stopper to me, played 19 minutes, even though he only had 7 points. But he is so effective defensively, causing havoc on people. And then you get Amir Johnson with 5 points and 7 rebounds in only 15 minutes. That's showing you they have other players that can contribute. That makes their bench as deep as ever, and then you need a deep bench to go far in the playoffs.
Speaking of the playoffs, we know that in the playoffs they tighten up rotations, Mark. You know, it's not as going as many guys deep usually. So what do you foresee for the playoff rotations? You know, who are the guys do you think are going to be the centerpieces of Brett Brown's postseason rotation?
That's a great question. I've been thinking about that so much. And as you see the last 5 games, Coach Brown has been switching matchups. He's bringing Justin Anderson in. He's bringing Rashawn Holmes in or Amir Johnson. He's not doing the same pattern. What's important to take a look at is I think T.J. McConnell is going to get minutes. Ersan Ilyasova is going to get major minutes. Bellinelli is going to get minutes. Now, here's the question. There's your 8. There's your 3 off the bench that are constants. So here's the question. Does he continue to play Dario 28 minutes, or do Dario get more time? Because even with the second unit, does he look to play Dario and Ilyasova together at the 4 and the 5 spot, which leaves Ilyasova, TJ, and Bellinelli getting most of them guard minutes, and then keeping Rocco or playing JJ a little longer. So some of these starters might see more minutes and look for him going Dario Saric and Ilyasova in the front court instead of Amir Johnson or Holmes. But I think TJ, Marco Bellinelli, and Ersan Ilyasova are their constant 3 coming off the bench is going to see major minutes.
We're talking with Marc Jackson here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline on 97.3 ESPN. You can check him out at the pre- and post-game of NBC Sports Philadelphia Sixers coverage. Mark, speaking with Brett Brown, you know, this is a guy who I think a lot of people have had criticism many different directions about, and I want to get your take on how he has evolved. We focus a lot on the players, how guys like Embiid and Simmons and these other guys have grown and developed throughout the year. But what about Brett Brown? How has he evolved in his coaching throughout the season?
You know, what's interesting so much that's fascinating to me about Brett Brown is he was here when they didn't have enough talent to win games. Now that they have acquired pieces to win, and not just win, but make the playoffs, not just make the playoffs, but to compete for home court advantage. With all that being said, for me, it's remarkable to see the turnaround that he's able to do as a coach to fit the pieces in. It's so important to realize that, it's hard to go from not having enough to having plenty. Now you got to refocus your mind on, okay, how can I make these pieces fit into the puzzle? So that's so important because a lot of people don't think that way, but he's there. So he had to develop as a coach to put Ben, to put Joel, to put JJ, to put Rocco in situations to make sure he made an adjustment when he seen early in the season it wasn't working with Dario coming off the bench to start him. And now Dario has been such a focal, consistent point to them that is so remarkable to see the development of him. So he's been great. So now when you hear Coach Popovich at the end of last season talking about, well, you know, Brett Brown needs to give a chance to play with more pieces because he's seen it right on the wall. He heard the rumors. He know that sometimes teams get a coach in when they're losing, and then while they lose, as soon as they turn, they get a piece and they fire him and bring a new face in. So I was happy to see that a lot of coaches plugged Coach Brett Brown and said he needs to be here when they get the pieces in, and the Sixers left him there in that position as head coach. He's getting it done. They're winning, and they're striving. So kudos to Coach Brett Brown.
Mark, you talked earlier about Ben Simmons also being savvy with the media, but he might have let something slip a little bit last night when he was asked about his health and how he's doing. He said, physically, I feel fine. Mentally, it's a little draining. Is that the one little hint that he'll give that, yes, there is a rookie wall out there for guys like Embiid, like Ben Simmons, like Dario, and Brett Brown, I guess, even addressed it like, look, this isn't Ben playing at LSU or Joel playing at Kansas. And David Murphy added up the numbers. Last night was Joel Embiid's 58th game of the season. If you take the 59 games total that he's played at any level since graduating high school, 28 games in a season at Kansas, 31 games last season as an NBA rookie. So now he's eclipsed that mark. It would be natural to think that there may be some rookie wall issues.
Everyone goes through those rookie walls. And I truly believe, also when Ben was talking about that, he also mentioned that people think I need to score more, but I'm just going to make the right play. I don't know if you heard that quote too. That was during the same interview. So I was like, oh, he is listening to people. And I've been one to say that Ben needs to score more. One of you referring to me. So, so with that being said, it's important to realize he knows what's going on. He knows that what people are saying in chatter, he's reading the chatter, which is not always good, but he's so savvy. But we also got to understand his age. He's going to make some mistakes. He's going to hit a rookie wall. And if he didn't hit a rookie wall, I'll be concerned about his second year. Oh, man, if he don't hit a rookie wall his rookie year, it's going to all come crashing on him his second year. So I'm glad that he's hitting a rookie wall mentally, but now he's getting it before the playoffs. So now you hit that wall, then you slowly but surely come out of it. And when you come out of it, you do better things than what you did before you went in.
Marc Jackson with us, NBC Sports Philadelphia Pre and Post. So I thought Jimmy Lynam made a point last night, Mark, that really I went back. I said, wait a minute, let me listen to that again. He talked about pace of play and how the Sixers have had their success with pushing the basketball and trying to play the up-tempo style with their pace of play, and that traditionally the playoffs are in a half-court set, and that he thought the Sixers, in order to have success, don't get away from what they do. What's your reaction to that point that Coach made last night on I guess it was late, it was on Endgame, but talking about the way the Sixers play and how they may or may not be forced to change once the playoffs get here?
That is, my colleague would hit the nail right on the head, because look who's the point guard. The point guard dictates pace of play. I know the coach might want to do something or run some things, but the point guard dictates pace of play. So if you have a Ben Simmons who is a freight train, 6'10", 245, and if you test his 40, he probably got a 4.25 40. So when he got all that power pushing the ball, and he's not a prolific shooter, what's the best thing that he does is gets to the rim. He's faster than majority of all the point guards out there, majority of them, because he's longer strided. So with that being said, he excels in the open court. So when your point guard excels in the open court and is a terrific rebounder, so he's getting and going, he's getting the rebounds, he's pushing the momentum, pushing that rock. So with that being said, the defense have to adjust to him. They can try to get back. See, the key with Ben is when you shoot the ball as offense, you want to try to get two guys running back because you know Ben is coming. But even if you got two guys in the paint waiting for Ben, he's just too big, too strong, too explosive for two guys anywhere in that basket to stop him. So he knows he has to keep the momentum, push it, and his teammates know if they run, they will get passes. So the defense will collapse. Ben would get to them or pass it out to these shooters. They would jack those threes up, and the pace to play will be high. The points will be high for the 76ers to succeed.
Hey, Mark, isn't it also important that if it's not broke, don't fix it, especially for young guys making their first playoff appearance? You don't want to throw too much on their plate on the biggest stage. So you want to keep things streamlined. You want to say, listen, this is what got us here. We're going to keep doing it no matter what people think we should be doing.
Exactly. Don't change what you do. We call back the truck up. Don't back the truck up and dump everything off at the same time because you're just giving them too much overload information. There's information overload. Don't even do that. Keep it the same. Do what you do that got you here, and hopefully you're better at your style of play and what you want to do than what the other team is trying to accomplish.
Marc Jackson with us, NBC Sports Philadelphia Pre and Post. You'll be back on again, Mark, tomorrow night? Is that right?
Yes, sir. I was curious to see if he was having a game, and yes, we will be having a game, so I'll be on tomorrow.
Sixers and Grizzlies. We're okay down here. It's mostly just rain and sleet for now, but, yeah, I don't think that free water ice from the local water ice company there on first day of spring really feels like something we're going to rush out and get. 13 games left, Mark. Where do you see? You see them at like 9-4 over the 4 of them are against playoff teams. You think where do you think the ceiling is? How high do you think they get?
You know, I do see them at 9-4, but that 9-4 can easily respectfully turn into 8-5 or 10-3 because somebody might be able to steal some of those games to them playoff teams. But then also I'll be worried about teams like Orlando. Because Orlando, even though they have lost, they went on a losing streak, they're not playing great basketball. They have enough talent. They have people on their team who will be major free agents next year who's fighting for contracts. So they still got to show their game from now to the end. So if the Sixers go in there sometimes with a lackadaisical attitude, they might get hit first and can't recover from the initial hit. So be careful with that. You know, but I like them. I like them. I even like them versus any playoff team right now, but the way they playing because they got these other teams coming in. Memphis tomorrow, then the Magic. So they really have to keep the momentum going. So they really got to stay focused and stay within themselves, but play to the best of their ability.
Back-to-backs coming up. They're home with the Grizzlies at the Magic on Thursday. Back home where they've had great success with Minnesota on Saturday. Then they've got the Nuggets and the Knicks. That's their next 5 as they've got 13 left. Marc Jackson, our guest here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Now, Mark, we always appreciate your takes, and stay warm, stay dry, stay inside, buddy. Don't even leave the house. Just bunker down.
Yes, sir. Y'all do, too. Have a drive safely out there.